Hi, this is Raj from MR Sportscars. In this video I'm going to talk specifically about one particular topic I get asked about a huge amount, which is, do the number of previous owners matter in terms of buying a Porsche, both in terms of its current condition and also is it going to be worth more or less in the future based on purely number of owners. Now, first of all, I would say that actually when you look at these cars, the condition is very much independent of how many owners a particular car's had. I mean, these cars here have got everything from 6 previous owners to 1. And I mean, I'm obviously a bit biased because it is my dealership. It is the cars that I've picked, hand-picked myself and inspected. But in broad terms, the condition of them, regardless of number of owners and even mileage, they're all at the same high standard. I would say that condition particularly is very much dependent on how it's been looked after, and in some cases one owner cars from new or one previous owner cars from new, I've rejected quite a few because essentially the owner that had them had sort of like the romance period where they love the car, they use it very sparingly, or they clean it very fastidiously. They don't use it to sort of take stuff to the dump and things. And then once they fall out of that honeymoon period, they then start using it more practically and potentially not putting enough care into sort of stowing stuff in the interiors with protective like sheets around them, so they can scuff the leathers in odd places like on the sides at the rear, the A-pillars, the leather A-pillars there. So I do find that actually I'm actually more wary of cars that have got low number of owners because they may have not appreciated them that whole period they've had them. If it's an 8-year-old car, they've owned it for 6 years, maybe the first 2 years they were quite careful, the next 4 they were less careful. They would take it to supermarkets and it would get extra dings on the doors and things, have cheap paint repairs and things. So that's one thing I would say, is actually judge any car based on its condition and also its servicing. So that's the other thing actually with one owner cars I've found is sometimes they miss a service. Sometimes instead of going 2 years, they go 4 years or even 5 or 6 years in some cases, which is again cars that I would reject, where they've missed the service intervals. Because in all honesty, some people, not everyone, some people get lazy, and there's less chance of that if they've only had the car for 1 or 2 years, because either they bought it just serviced and then they sell it when it comes needing maintenance again, or they aren't able to. Yeah, as I said, I basically inspect all cars equally. So whether they're one owner cars or 5 previous owner cars, I will inspect them in exactly the same way and expect them to meet the same standards. So very few, if any, marks on the interior, no rips, particularly in leathers, and also make sure that the whole condition of the car mechanically and aesthetically meets a certain standard so that they look as new as possible. You maybe have seen this car in the inspection video I did a few weeks ago. This car from memory has 5 previous owners, only 35,000 miles, but again fastidiously looked after. I'm not going to go into which cars have how many owners, because I don't think I need to do that for this video. I just wanted to highlight that really don't expect a 6 owner or 7 owner car to be necessarily in a worse condition than a 1 owner car. And some people do like to change cars regularly. So it may be someone owned it for 6 or 12 months. That doesn't necessarily mean there was an issue and they wanted to sell it. It was, they may have wanted to upgrade to, say, from a Carrera 2 to a 4S, or from a Carrera 2S to a Carrera 2S convertible rather than a coupe, or they might have gone to a 911 turbo, or completely left the brand and they're now driving other sports cars from other manufacturers. So don't assume that if you've had a run of like 3 owners that have changed it every single year, that's particularly apparent with things like these Boxsters. Some people run them for a summer or 2 summers and then they want to try a different convertible as their summer car. Some people only own it for the summer and then sell it in the winter. So you've got to bear that in mind, that not every ownership change is sinister. Now, in terms of value, yes, it can slightly affect value. Obviously, a one owner only or one previous owner car will be worth ever so slightly more than, say, like a 3 or 4 owner car, and vice versa. If you then move up to 5 or 6 owner, there may be an impact in valuation, and that's purely down to the issue that I've already outlined, which is some people are concerned about number of owners. So the cars with less owners have a wider market among people that are buying. Some buyers will rule out cars purely by number of owners, and that does have an effect on values. The pool of people who are happy and can look at cars more rationally is smaller. So you'll find that a car with a high number of owners may take a little bit longer to sell. You might have to make it ever so slightly cheaper just to attract people to it. But don't let the number of owners be, if you're buying, let it be a measure of how good a car is in terms of its current condition. You really have to go and see the car and determine for yourself how good it is, or get it inspected by a professional so that you know exactly which panels have been painted, has it been done as a good job, what mechanics need doing on the car, so what parts need replacing in the near future or immediately. Does everything work? And yeah, look at the history files. Obviously, you want to make sure that the cars have been serviced in line with the service interval. So every 2 years, minor, major, minor, major. In most cases, spark plugs done every 4 years, regardless of mileage, even though it says every, I think, 40,000 miles. Most people tend to do the spark plugs every 4 years, which is what the service schedule recommends. And yeah, just don't use that one measure of how many owners does a car have to determine whether you think a car is a good buy. There's a huge number of factors, as you'll see from the inspection video which I did on that Atlas Grey car, which was 40 minutes long, talking purely just about what to look at in terms of the condition of a car when you buy it. And that will be independent of how many owners the car has. So that's this video pretty much complete. I just wanted to put that out there because I do get asked a lot, oh, how many owners? Oh, is that too many? Is that seen as too many? Is that going to be an issue? Does it have an effect on condition? And they're my answers essentially. I don't think it does. I think condition is independent of number of owners generally. You can have bad one owner cars and you can have good one owner cars, and the same with the higher owner cars. You can have, there's the whole spectrum of whether they're good or not. Regardless of ownership. So just be wary of that. Don't filter out cars just because they've got high owners. They might actually be more fastidiously maintained than an equivalent low owner car, and you might end up getting a great car or overlook a great car if you use that as your measure. Thank you for watching. It'd be great if you can like my video and also subscribe to my channel. I hope you found it useful, and if you have any questions, please do comment below. Thanks for watching.